They say it's not the number of years in your life that count, but the life in those years. And as far as Piyush Pandey is concerned, for every year since 1982, every year of his life is full of life at Ogilvy, right?
Yes.
Beautifully said.
And now he's decided to pass on the baton to Hepzibah Pathak in India, while of course he's going to be in an advisory role. But very tough decision, Piyush. I'm sure it wasn't it?
I think we have been discussing it for the last many months. There's a time to get the best players, play that role. And there was no discussion. We knew exactly who we wanted. People who have red in their blood, that's Ogilvy red. And very, very easy.
So it's something that you've been mulling over for a
Yes,
while
we've
now.
been
But what
discussing
really
it.
compelled you to cross that bridge?
No, there's no bridge. You see, you have to plan that there is a time when you must give the chance those who are already ready for it and be around to help them wherever they need help, not with authority but with love and affection and mentorship and advice.
We also have with us Devika Bulchandani, Global CEO of Ogilvy, who's here, I think, specifically for this announcement. Devika, tell us, now Mr. Pandey has obviously built relationships in India with a lot of clients. A lot of them have been his labor of love. Now that the cat is out of the bag and he's going to be in an advisory role, how are clients reacting and how do you think it's going to really impact Ogilvy at large?
Look, you know, we're not announcing some major change. Succession is a very natural process of evolution for any organization. And the other thing is Piyush is not going anywhere, right? So he has spoken to a lot of the senior clients this weekend, and the reaction has been very positive, right? The beauty of a chief advisor, other than the fact that if you shorten it, they're going to call him CA, which he is not. He's so far from that. The beauty of a chief advisor is an advisor is available when advice is needed. So whether that is the internal team, the new leadership team that we're talking about, or its clients, Piyush is there to be in the advisory role. What he's not going to get involved is in the day-to-day administration of running the agency. So it's actually the best of both worlds. In fact, every time I talk to Piyush, I'm like, I would love that role as well.
So there have been a lot of changes. I mean, Kainaz, Harshad, Sukesh are on the board, and so is Prem. But the most interesting part is, of course, his successor. Who all were in the running for this? Of course, she's one of the brightest people that we've come across, one of the brightest planners. But were there any wildcard entries in this succession?
You just answered that. The brightest and the best, and we were also thinking the same way.
We're on the same page.
But Devika can add.
Even the first time you and I spoke about, you know, I think Piyush started talking to me about it and I was like, that's okay, makes sense. So helps, right? Like it was
so clear to all of us.
And I want to give credit where credit's due. The reason it was so clear to everybody, the reason this was not a belabored discussion, the reason clients are not sitting here and going, oh my God, is because Piyush has architected this over years, right? So that there's not one person, but there is a team, right? There is a team of 6 who are ready to take over, who are ready to be on the board, who are ready to move Ogilvy forward without ever forgetting where we came from. So, I mean, I have to give him a lot of credit because that's also a manifestation of his leadership, right? And often we forget as leaders that our job is also to make sure that as we take on different roles,
the agency is in good hands.
which is the natural form of life, that the agency has the stability and also the momentum with which it can move forward.
You know, another very interesting thing about Ogilvy India specifically is all the people, I think most people in leadership roles are people who spend considerable amount of time in the agency. Meet Harshad, Kainas, Sukesh,
All of them.
Prem, everybody.
The numbers.
I think we calculated over 140 years together.
Wow. Okay. And you know, this is very unlike, you know, in a global role. I think you came in from McCann and I think Liz came in from Leo Burnett, if I'm not wrong.
Liz is a boomerang, but she returned to Ogilvy.
Right. So why is it that this doesn't happen in Ogilvy India? I mean, is there no talent from outside that you really think can, I mean, not the top leadership role, but who can
You
kind
don't
of...
look outside when you have the great talent inside. Devika's was a different matter when we needed somebody like her in the global world to lead the agency. Here you had so many of the stalwarts ready to rock that we didn't have the need. You need, I mean,
But
we are
then
not close to the idea.
When the whole world is looking at our people and saying,
How to freshen up by getting them.
yeah,
So it's not a question of being close to the idea of getting somebody from outside, but we didn't need any. घर का खाना होता है. You don't buy from the market.
it also depends. It depends what is happening at an organization. This is not about a leadership change. This is about succession, two very different things. We're not at a moment where we're saying we need to get outside blood because we need to pivot because we don't have the people who can do it. And those are moments for organization. This is more of the evolution of this company is already in action and it's a moment of succession.
And I want to ask you something similar. Today, according to you in India, is an advertising agency a personality-led business? Or is an agency today just as good as the last work that it did?
Second one, it has to be. See, personalities, when properly becoming personalities, are based on their work. And there are personalities who may be celebrities. That is not going to last. You are only as good as your last piece of work and as the team that you carry. Because you're not just alone. The personality of the agency is larger than the personality of an individual.
But I think at Ogilvy India is going to take a lot of time to get there because your personality, I think, overshadows everybody, not just at Ogilvy, in the industry. So, and that's not me being sweet to you, it's the fact. So.
Piyush, it's the truth.
See, I'm only interested maximum in Ogilvy, and these people are ready. They are ready, and they have been my partners. So there is no fear of the personality. They know, the world knows that I had these people around my arms, and they are the ones who are going to lead. So uski chinta nahi mujhe.
And there's one question for you, Devika, and this is an inspired question. I think one of the ex-leaders of Ogilvy had posted this on one of your LinkedIn accounts. I think during your 75th year celebrations, I mean, there was a post which came out which said David Ogilvy had not written a word of copy till 38 years of age. And by 41, he was one of the most celebrated copywriters in the world. So someone had asked, will Ogilvy today hire someone like that? At a time when there's such massive talent crunch in the industry, would you consider someone who's maybe not from an advertising background, someone who's much older, perhaps doesn't even have a qualification which is anyway connected to advertising, and maybe an engineering dropout that way? And in India, I think we've had such celebrated names who were dropouts and who did very well in the industry. But today, is that someone who would be considered at Ogilvy?
Our primary focus, the way, and Liz actually says this very beautifully, is to hire on potential, not on portfolio. And that is very core to Ogilvy's culture. And frankly, it has to be core to any sort of creative industry because creativity at the end of the day can't be put into a box. So if we only hire on a portfolio, then we're hiring people who have done a certain kind of thing. So we don't have any rules. In fact, we have a very, very intentional sort of thing that we talk to about all our hiring managers is how do we hire on potential, not on portfolio. Right? So we're very open to whether you're 38 and you haven't done something or whether you're an engineer at 24 and you want to be a creative person. And we've got lots of people that we have hired, who are sneaker designers, who are now they have a creative soul.
Chefs and all that.
And chefs who want to come in. So, absolutely. But when you want to do these kinds of things culturally, I'm a big believer in you have cultures, words inspire culture. So, we talk about this a lot to say, we're not going to hire on portfolio, hire on potential.
Also, there's a difference in whatever that person wrote out there. Hiring a 38-year-old is different then 38-year-old starting his own company. That was David.
Yeah.
True. You know, and a question for you. You know, you've never been the kind of person who would watch a match from the pavilion. You are I think, the opening batsman in most cases. So I want to understand from you, how do you get excited by the sound of an idea? I mean, you've been in the industry for 40 years and 40 years in Ogilvy. So what really excites you, and what are the 3 pieces of work that define Piyush Pandey and where he is today?
I want to answer the first question.
Yes.
I'm going to answer the first question for Piyush. So this is what the team was saying yesterday. I was asking the team, I said, so just how they work and things like, you know, same thing, how do they feel like when they know they have an idea? Because this is an office that is so prolific in producing just some of the most brilliant work. And I think it was Sukesh or Harshad or kind of one of them who said it, very simple, very simple. So I said, so tell me, what's so simple? They said, we show the work to Piyush. If he laughs, it's great. If he cries, it's great. He said, if he laughs, it's great. If he cries, it's great. If he has no reaction, fart.
See, the question is very simple. That you should know when you should change your batting order. When you got younger, fantastic batsmen, you should try and play a little later. And play that you are meaningful to the team. You can never be a champion unless you have the ability to stay in the team. So batting order doesn't matter.
Fabulous. But I want to know from you, what is the biggest contribution of Piyush Pandey to Ogilvy? If you had to literally put it in one line.
Piyush Pandey is Ogilvy.
I've got my headline. Fabulous. And what are your plans and what are your expectations from Hepzibah, and where do the two of you want her to take Ogilvy?
It's to continue to build on the legacy, but really importantly, the word build. So it's not continue to keep the legacy. It is to build it, to move it forward. And this leadership team has to put their own mark on it. Right? I think that's very important. And I do feel for them, because they're following in the footsteps of, you know, Piyush. But I think it's going to be important for them to create their own leadership voice, to be out there in the world as leaders themselves, not as, you know, somebody in the shadow of Piyush. And I think that's going to be, it's not just an expectation, it's going to be something we need to encourage them to do, because the love and respect that they have for Piyush is always going to make them feel, right? And makes me feel that way too. But that's the support that I'm going to give them, and the push both of us are going to give them, to say they need to get out, develop their own leadership stance, their own voice.
And they have given us enough examples of that.
They're totally capable.
That entire Shah Rukh Khan thing.
Oh, yeah.
No, I don't know nothing about AI, but these people did it. And the entire content team that BR has set up out here. Do I know much about content? No. So they have got the soul intact, and they are trying the new body, which is fantastic. That's what we are looking for.
Yeah.
The soul and the body, I think they're both going to do wonders for Ogilvy in the next 75 years. Thank you so much for speaking to me.
Thank you so
God
much.
bless you.
Thank you.